And special presentation here today. Welcome back, everyone. Connecting Dots 2, also known as Silver Gold Man here on YouTube. So my regular subscribers here, Connecting Dots 2, are probably wondering what's going on here. Well, why are you having these economic shows over here at this channel? Well, I'll get into that shortly, and you may want to hang tight because I actually have a little bit of information here as far as nuclear and update, as far as you guys may want to pay attention to this one, because with this big storm coming in, it's something some of you living in the USA may want to pay attention to this update. It's not about Fukushima, but it is nuclear. And considering we got a great big storm here brewing, you may want to pay attention. This is not a small storm. They're talking about waves, storm surges, 10 feet high, the waves. So this nuclear plant and the other plants may be of concern. Okay, so we're going live here. I'll see you guys at Connecting Dots 2 from now on. As I said, the shows are going to be on here 3 days a week. Dots 2 because of my Silver Gold Man issues, and I'm about to get into that right now. Let's jump into it. I want to say hi to everyone. Let's go see if we have some viewers. And oh shit, we got a whole lot of thumbs down, and that's not going to surprise me here. You have to understand that Connecting Dots 2, I've been dealing with frauds and scammers within the nuclear sector, so I've gained a lot of hatred over on Connecting Dots 2, and now I'm mixing both, you know, together as Silver Gold Man as well as Connecting Dots 2. So don't be surprised my videos moving forward here. I'll probably get a lot more thumbs down. But anyways, that's the way she goes. I can't, you know, I can't change what I do here on YouTube. This is what a lot of you appreciate, the truth, and we're about to get into that right now. So I got a lot of windows open up here. Hopefully we won't have too many problems as I jump right in it. So I'll mention again, if you're new here, the shows are posted live here in this thread at Connecting Dots 1, SGM Live Market Wrap-Up. I'm going to be out here at Connecting Dots 2, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the next 3 months. So if you enjoy my economic updates, as I'm about to get into a lot of topics here, not just the nuclear update, but mostly about economy as well as gold, silver, and stuff. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, you've never came across my channel before here and it's your first time, well, you can catch the shows and past shows over in this thread at Connecting Dots 2. And this is where it all began on Saturday, February the 6th, 2016 is when I called the bottom in the markets. I actually predicted that there would be another stock market crash in January of 2016, back in July of 2015 when I was covering the 2015 stock market crash. So in February is when I came out live here, and you can go watch this stuff. This is where I've continued on with my stuff, as well as my 2008 stock market crash. I've been sharing with folks how I came out in these 2012 forums, trying to warn them how there would be a great big stock market crash in September of 2008, 6 months before. And I've carried on here ever since predicting that one stock market crash. I've gone on. Every stock market crash since has been warned a full 6 months ahead of time. That's why I've received emails from employees from big banks. I'm up at 2 big banks here so far that have contacted me. So, oops, what I was going to do is show you, pull out this threads here for when I'm ready to get into the nuclear stuff, because I'm not sure if I did post it. I want to double check. I have to go back here, and I don't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just pull this up now, and all right, so I'll come back to that in a second. First of all, what I want to get into is...
Open your mind's door to JSNIP4. Open your mind's door to JSNIP4. American dream, relocated to Tennessee. Now he's on 10 acres, GMO free.
Open your mind to JSNIP4. So this is the reason why I have to have these shows here for the next 3 months over at Connecting Dots 2. I'm under a lot of pressure at Silver Gold Man. I've been hitting up scammers and pumpers on the initial coin offerings within the cryptocurrency world, and the heat is on these guys, and they're doing everything they can to try and take down my channel, and more specifically JSNIP4. So you can read up there what was shared here privately. He says, I could have your channel shut down, but I decided not to over privacy violations. So I'm going to ask you to remove those comments from yourself and do it yourself Tesla Powerwall, that link to private information. So anyone who wants to contact me regarding JSNIP4 because you've lost money over the last 6 years listening to his non-stop pumping of gold and silver, and it's only gone lower, and especially those of you that listen to his financial advice telling you to go buy it on your credit cards at $40 an ounce, and repeated the same shenanigans once it fell to $35 an ounce, except this time here he added the words in the theme of his videos. It was an opportunity of a lifetime for you to go buy silver at $35 an ounce on your credit card. And then, if you may recall, if you're listening to him way back then, you may recall it fell $3 lower to $32 an ounce and told you all, don't go sell that silver, it's going back up. So anyone who wants to contact me because you've lost lots of money, he's concerned here because he knows I've been following him and his shenanigans on YouTube for years. And now with the ICOs, it's really getting heated up. So they're trying to take down my channel, and he went and lied, because if he had an opportunity to take down my channel, trust you me folks, it would be down already. You can see his buddy Wild Crypto, another one who had busted 6 days prior, had already told me he had sent all this information to YouTube, trying to get me to fearmonger me into removing these 3 videos, ABC. The links are there, as you can see, and they're all over at Silver Gold Man. You can go watch those videos. I've caught them pumping. I've caught JSNIP4 receiving these cryptos. Sorry, not from this guy, but from another person. He received over 300,000 cryptos. In Wild Crypto, that one there, we caught him receiving over $17,000 he received. The heat is on. He's lodged a complaint. He's trying to take down my channel. So his whole thing here where he says in the beginning, I could have your channel shut down, but I decided not to. He's absolutely lying. I've received the email from YouTube letting me know that they've received a privacy complaint from an individual regarding my content, and that's what he wants to do, is remove it. So I'm not going to stop. I will continue posting the truth, and JSNIP4 and his buddies are in a lot of trouble. So this is the map that I was looking for, because now we're getting into the nuclear stuff. And what you're looking at right now is the map of the USA, obviously, but the yellow dots are locations across the USA where individuals that are interested in sharing their readings publicly on the internet have joined up to this website called the Radiation Network. So it's posted at my forum at connectingdots1.com in that thread where it said live readings on Fukushima. If you click on the USA map, it'll bring you to the Radiation Network. You can also see the title here at the top. I mean the HTTP address. Anyways, what I'm getting at here is that the other little small dots, you can probably see them. These are all the nuclear plants across the USA. And I mentioned before, like as I follow Fukushima, I've been traveling, well, I did travel back and forth across Canada doing radiation follow-up back in 2011. But as I continue following the Fukushima story, one of the topics or one of the issues I kept mentioning is that the nuclear plant, the plants themselves, all 6 plants over in Fukushima, are the G1 General Electric Mark I plant. It was considered the worst nuclear plant design in the history of nuclear plants, and the USA just so happens to have 24 of those nuclear plants across its country. They're spread across the USA. So that's a big concern. You know, if I was living in the USA, I would be concerned about that. But my immediate concern right now is down in Florida, Miami. You can probably see it way down here at the bottom of the screen here. Let's get in that right now because that's my concern. 2 Florida nuclear plants likely to shut down if Irma stays on path. This is from Reuters here. Power and Light, Florida Power and Light said on Wednesday it could shut down its 4 nuclear reactors. Based on the current track, we could expect severe weather in Florida starting Saturday, meaning we would potentially shut down before that point. So they're concerned that category 5 storm with winds of up to 185 miles an hour are going to, you know, possibly cause havoc at the nuclear plants. No doubt about that. So I'll get into the maps here of where these plants are, but it's not good if you're in that area. They're even putting a warning out right now that cranes, they're not built to withstand a category 5 storm. So they're saying that anyone who happens to live around South Florida, there's a whole lot of cranes up in that area, and they're kind of giving everyone a kind of, you know, a heads up here. They're built with stand winds up to 145 miles an hour, not category 5, 185 mile an hour winds. So they're advised, you know, staying in a building next to a construction site. It's not a good spot to be. Anyways, the nuclear plants are just up from Key Largo, folks. That's the one big plant here, Turkey nuclear plant. The little one, the next one up is a little further up in Port St. Lucie. So those are the areas you got to watch. If this turns out to be the storm of the century, which is what all scientists, from what I've seen here, meteorologists, are in agreement that this is a big one. That definitely a storm of a century. Storm of the century. I just heard here how a Virgin Mobile owner, what's his name, Richard Branson or whatever, is out here on one of these little islands, and he's decided to stay there and face the storm with his team. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, just seeking attention. So like I said, the other nuclear plant is in Port Lucie, St. Lucie nuclear plant, and the other one down near Miami. So those are 2 areas. If this storm ends up hitting, you may want to pay attention to that one. So it's fear. It's fear. The fear is up. The fear is hitting the markets, and it's not just Irma. It's a lot more than that, and we're going to cover some of that right now. And again, at the very end of it, that's when I'm going to close it up. I'm going to close up the show with fear. Fear, missile fears. Your Christmas present from Kim Jong-un from North Korea. He's going to be sending you some Christmas presents. Telling you special gifts, he said, coming to the USA. But in the meantime, we're talking about the fear and index in the markets right now. And as you can see here, a week ago we were in fear at 34. The previous close was at 36. And now we're at 42. So the fear that was created last week here with Kim Jong-un and whatnot has really seemed to easing off a little bit. And I believe today was also the debt ceiling. I don't know if you heard, but they've now agreed to, put off the whole debt discussion for another, until December 15th. So the fear is back on in December. Will we have a market correction in December? We're going to get into the charts, and I think it is definitely a possibility here. So right now, the fear is easing off, but Lloyd Blankfein here says something in the market that unnerves him is, he says it's not like the tulip mania, but people are anxious because it feels like the market have been going up for too long, and they have been going up for quite a while. And I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but that's a video I put out at Silver Gold Man roughly 3 weeks ago. I was saying if you're really up on your position right now, you may want to take some profit because I expect a summer sell-off. And man, did I ever nail that one. It's been summer sell-off. So he's a little concerned here. But he says, of course, you never really know until you know. When something happens, 80% of the world remember knowing it in hindsight. Well, good thing if you're hanging out here at Silver Gold Man, there's not much hindsight. Most of the time, like I said, I've nailed every damn stock market crash a full 6 months before they happen. I believe we're in for a continued correction, or I should say a sell-off, summer sell-off. There's still some fear here, and that's very important because that's one of the big things that stocks, the fear in the markets can do. They can really drag down stocks much lower than their actual worth. So as long as we continue having fear, we may have some problems. And here's there are two Americans right now that are also confusing investors. This is from Goldman chief U.S. equities strategist, says the division U.S. between the chaos in Washington and the relative calm outside the Beltway is confusing investors. So he's saying here that his S&P 500 projection of 2,400 added that the economy is likely stuck at a 2% growth, which is essentially echoes what I've been telling you guys here at Silver Gold Man, that as I continue following the data, it keeps pointing that it's not collapsing. And I'll get into the Econoday data here that just been put out recently. I'm not getting any signs of this collapsing, but I keep mentioning how a moderate growth, we're moving along. We're not blasting off the markets, but we're moving along. And as I continue tracking it on a global scale, that's important. Again, here, just this week out of China, the numbers are good, better than expected. So, I'm not going to be raising that red flag, telling you all it's crashing, it's crashing. I don't see that. So that's where I'm at here right now. People keep asking me, do I think there's a stock market crash? I don't see it at this point. I just don't see it. Things continue pointing that there's a continuous growth around the world. I watch it on a global scale, even though you're probably saying, well, Silver Gold Man, how come 95% of the stories that you post are all about friggin' USA? Because I've said that before. It is the largest economy in the world. I got to keep, obviously China's there too, and that's why I keep mentioning China. But I focus a lot on USA. It's my next door neighbor, and I happen to know that if the USA is doing fine, then usually the rest of the world is going to be okay. So is what's been fueling the gold rally. That's what I was telling you guys. As long as we keep getting a little bit of fear in the as far as Kim Jong-un whatnot, that's what's going to continue boosting the gold. So we'll get into that shortly, the charts. But first of all, I want to get into the I'm a data guy. I love data. Forget the fear-mongering videos. If you watch YouTube for financial advice or a little heads up on what's happening in the world, you're going to run into doom and gloom. In fact, that was one of the videos I posted just yesterday at the Silver Gold Man. You guys may recall, I pointed out how Google had actually came out with a list of 400 as well as websites that you're to stay away from. They're warning you. And in that video, I didn't go over all 400 of them, obviously. I went over quite a few of them if you watch the video, and I pointed out with you that this, I'm in consensus, I have to admit, even though I've had a lot of problems with Google, it is part of the New World Order agenda. I find it very peculiar, and I think this was just an inside job on their part to trying to make themselves look like they actually are against the New World Order, and therefore look at Google as put me up on that list. Well, when I went through the list, I kept sharing with you my own personal opinions on these various people. And that's one of the things I pointed out, that if you're going to be on YouTube looking for any type of, you know, a heads up or a warning about what's happening in the world of the economy, you're going to run into nothing but doom and gloom. 99.9% of these people on YouTube that make these videos on the economy are nothing but doom and gloom master. That's all they do. You have to understand that. Right down to, I mentioned in that video how Gregory Mannarino had exited YouTube. I'm one of the very few YouTubers, mainstream YouTubers, who will take his time to point out how this guy is nothing but a fraud, a liar. He's been on YouTube for numerous years, lying to people, saying how he was an Bear Stearns trader. He was in their junior trading program, which is an absolute lie. And don't expect, like, there's a guy out there now by the name of Maestro, that's his YouTube channel. He's now over at Gregory Mannarino's YouTube channel posting the YouTube new videos on Greg's channel. I mean, oh, that's kind of weird. You know, Gregory Mannarino would leave YouTube with 51,000 subscribers and hand the keys over to his YouTube channel to another person. It's because the cat's out of the bag. Out there now, there's enough of us that have been watching this gong show. We can call them out as frauds. So that's what I've been telling folks. If you're on YouTube and you're looking for financial advice, I'm telling you right now that 99.9% of all the channels that you will come across, 99.9%, that means there are some truthers out there. But again, you'll run into the same problem that I've heard people say, and they'll leave it in my comments too. And you'll read it. Just mine. They will say to the same thing, that at first when I started watching that YouTube channel, he was correct, he was right, he was on the right path, and then all of a sudden, boom, fell right over on the wrong path. This is the same thing we ran in with YouTuber after YouTuber. More recently, it was Stéphane Molineux, who's hooked up with the rest of the shills on YouTube, who is all against, you know, 9/11 was a conspiracy back in the day, according to him. And now he's telling all us 9/11 conspiracy researchers, you're wasting your time. Get on with your lives. Da-da-da-da-da. You guys are fools. That's what I'm talking about, how they switch. He's not alone. There are thousands like him. This is a comment that I keep running across on YouTube. I've been making these videos since 2009, and this is one big shit show on YouTube. So if you're out here for economic data, information, a heads up, trying to make, you know, a buck off these YouTubers, you get caught up in the pump and dump. Make sure when you're really up on your position, you get ready to dump, because that's exactly what they're going to do. They are nothing but pump artists. And anyone who's going to tell you that silver is going to $600 because there's going to be some financial reset, you know to ban that person. Get rid of these people. You need to unsubscribe. They need less subscribers, not more subscribers. All right, let's get into the data, because the data talks, bullshit walks, right? Isn't that what they say? Something like that. Okay, so factory orders. There's really only good news in the July factory orders report, where the headline at a minus 3.3% reflects a slowing in what were strong prior gains for aircraft orders. The best news is a 0.6 upward revision to the core capital good orders, non-defense ex-air, to a 1% gain, and a 0.2 upward revision to the core shipments, now at a 1.2%. These numbers point to accelerating strength for a third quarter business investment. Total shipments rose a moderate 0.3% in the month. Like I said, we're not blasting off. It's moderate, and that's what counts. We are not collapsing, guys. You need to unsubscribe to the doom and gloom. They are not doing you any favor. When they keep you in fear, you will make irrational financial decisions. Trust you me, been there, done that. Anyways, the economy, from what I can see here, factory orders look good. Let's go on to the next one, and it's international trade. Again, the nation's trade deficit widened, but only slightly in July to 43.7 billion, revised from a 43.5 billion in June. The improvement in July is in the goods deficit, showing no change at 65.3 billion. The trade surplus for services fell 0.8%. 0.8% to 21.6 billion. Today's results get net exports off to a neutral start for the third quarter GDP, and I believe that US dollar just got smacked down a little lower. That's going to help your international trade. That's why I was calling out one of the YouTubers telling it's the end of the US dollar and then the economy is collapsing. Oh no, actually it's a really good thing. When your US dollar drops, it's, you know, your goods become a lot more attractive, so your exports are going to have a little boost out of that one. Trust you me. So ISM non-manufacturing index, not too hot and certainly not too cold, is the ISM's non-manufacturing report for August, where the composite index came in at a very solid 55.3. New orders are running a little stronger at 57.1, with backlog orders building nicely at 53.5. Business activity is very busy at 57.5, and employment strong at 56.2. Delivery times are stable, inventories on a moderate build, and prices are showing welcome pressure. This sample has been running perhaps unsustainably hot through most of the year, with slightly cooler readings for August very favorable. This report, together with this morning's PMI services, point to a solid and impressive second half for the bulk of the economy. Doom and gloom, bye-bye, baby. Oh, there's so much fear porn on YouTube. Is it not disgusting, guys? So, Bank of Canada, yeah, hikes the rates as the economy roars. Well, I wouldn't say it's roaring, but I got to admit, you know, one of my gauges, and I think some of you are going to think this is ridiculous, but I've openly admitted many times I'm a recovering drug addict. Many years now. I'm working on my 14th year, I think now. Well, I don't even think about that. Long story short, I've been honest whenever. I've never finished high school. I really, literally got addicted. I was a young alcoholic by the age I was 15 years old. I was a DJ sneaking beer in his sack with all his DJ equipment so I could get drunk behind this. I wasn't drunk falling over. I was stand up spinning records. My hand wasn't shaky. You could not tell that I was a binger. By the time I was like not even 20 years old, I'd fucked up my life. I was now hooked up on alcohol and hardcore drugs. I've been very upfront with her. I fucked up my whole shit show. Don't do the same. If you want some advice or my opinions on getting out of drug addiction because you're involved, don't be shy to reach out for me. I'm always there for anyone who's stuck in that vicious cycle. If your family's not there, there's a guy on YouTube, Connecting Dots 2, who will have that conversation with you, guy, okay? Or gal. Long story short, I've been upfront with everyone. I'm self-educated, and one of the rare indicators, if you want to call it, is my painter indicator. I've been upfront with everyone because I never finished high school, never got a diploma. It's been a rough, you know, I worked the labor market a lot, and needless to say, and one of the jobs I did was painting. I painted a lot throughout my years. You know, I noticed that when the economy was doing really well, a lot of painting jobs, and the economy is not doing well because there's not many houses. Well, it's tougher to get a job. Well, I've been sharing with you folks here at Silver Gold Man that one of the things I've been watching is, I'm still doing it to this day, even though I'm not out painting anymore. I'm still using my painter index to figure out how stable is the economy. And I've been telling you guys, you know, Here we are in the month of July, and they're still looking for painters galore. Well, I'm telling you now, sorry, July and August, it was the same thing. It was, guys, look, there's so many painting jobs. It's ridiculous. I've never seen this. Normally, painting companies have hired all their employees by June. Oh, there's some trickle jobs here and there by July and August, but very few. I live on a small little island. I've never seen so many jobs. Here we are crawling into September, and there are still painting jobs still being posted every single day. I am shocked. So I don't know if it's roaring across the rest of Canada, except for the forest fires here in BC. They're roaring, and oddly enough, a piece of paper today is handed to me. They're looking for volunteer firefighters. A lack of firefighters in British Columbia. So if you're looking for a job, you're young. They wouldn't hire me, though, unfortunately. But long story short, even the big banks here, what did they do? They followed suit here. They boosted their prime rates because the economy's not collapsing. The loonie jumps to the highest level in 2 years as the Bank of Canada raises the benchmark interest rates again. Doom and gloom. Bye-bye, baby. Okay, here's the part you got to get worried about. Fed policymakers signal caution on the inflation. So there might not be a rate hike, and that could give you a little gold boost. So let's get into some charts here, guys. But first, before we get into charts, let's go over some of the stocks that you guys, some of my traders may possibly be playing here at this point. I'm not sure if you jumped in or jumped out, took some profit, whatever the case may be. Again, this is not a stock recommendation. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm not a stockbroker. Heck, I never even finished high school, okay? I'm a faceless guy on YouTube and who's sharing with you the information I've shared with my traders privately in the background. That's why if you notice down below in the show more tab of these videos, there's various offers. If you want to take my trade ideas, offers, that's what this is. This is what they got, what these people pay for my trade ideas. Okay, guys, so you may recall the other day I was talking about Brookdale Senior Living, BKD. I was talking about how one of the big boys who happens to own, was it 6.82%. Big hedge fund holder here, 6.82%, and he had added to his position. And I pulled up the charts. I was telling you, look at that beautiful spot here. We're right at support. We're going to get a bounce. So I got in it. I mentioned that the other day. I'm actually down a couple of pennies, but I'm not worried because that was because of the fear, right? After hours, as you can see here, after hours, somebody came in and bought what? Over 600,000 shares at $11.54. Can you do the math? How about we do a little bit of math together on that one? How much cash is that? 247 times $11.54. And that's that's a whole lot of millions. Okay, so next one up, ATOS. I really like this one. I've been talking about it for a while. And one of the big things, guys, it's a slow mover. That's why I said if you're getting into this one, this is a very slow moving penny stock. So don't expect you're going to pull out some big gains right away. I was telling you guys, I believe she was building that cup and handle formation. So I'm still holding mine, and after hours, this is what I like because this stock is, like I said, it's a slow mover, low volume. So it's a stock, you know, I would never even share with you guys, my traders. The only reason I mention it is because every time I happen to open up my damn stock charts I've been sharing with you guys, every time I open it, it opens up at ATOS. So it's one of those things that's stuck in my face every day when I open it up, and I actually open up my charts several times throughout the day. So ATOS. I'm sick of it. So at one point I'm like, you know what? This thing's ready to go. I believe I'm getting in here. And what was that? We're at 42 cents. So we're at 46 cents. I like after hours here to see this type of volume after hours. I'm impressed. Again, this is not a stock recommendation, so I'm just sharing with you what I normally share with my traders in the background, because some people have been saying, well, he doesn't make any stock calls. Well, I've been doing it for a couple of weeks now, so So Hertz, that was my other one. I said out of all those picks, my number one, my favorite one, because I received an email and one of the traders was asking me, you know, Silver Gold Man, out of all those stocks that you mentioned, which would be your favorite if you were only to pick one? I said Hertz. Hertz cup and handle. I think this one's going to pop. And oddly enough, that was the same guy who I happen to mention Brookdale Senior Living. He owns, I think it was 6.82 in Brookdale. And then Hertz, he owned, what was it, 5.60 or something of the sorts? A major holder. So he had added to his Hertz Global Holding stock, and he actually added to his BKD at the same time. So I shared with you guys the charts. I'm like, look at that. They're both right at support. I feel good about this one. So in after hours, you can see the volume still good here. Quite a few shares. I like that. That's good. I feel good about this one here. Another one, I guess I should take a look at very quickly. Some of you were still maybe playing that snap. So I was telling you guys, I jumped out and took profit. Actually, accidentally had tripled my position at one time. So I was holding way too much snap. I got to get out. So snap here after hours. She dropped. She couldn't hold that 1454, guys. Remember I was saying in that video, I said she can't hold that. I'm letting. I would possibly not add to my position. If you remember that, I said I dumped out of my snap, and if she can't hold that 1454. I'm not going to add. So she hasn't held it at this point, but on the charts, she still looks good. So we've got to hurry up here. I noticed there's quite a few comments. I might get into the comments at the end of the show. All right, so let's get into the transport. So one of the big things I was telling you guys, you know, I'm going to keep tracking the transports. When your transports are moving, that means, you know, the economy is not collapsing. And back here is when we had Trump win the election, and we've been roaring. And I've been telling you guys, as long as we can hold this area of support, we're going to be fine. And you notice the Bollinger Bands tightening up. So we're having a consolidation at this point. Still looking good. What I'm going to do here is take a moment and go to Snap just to see what. So on a weekly, guys, she looks like she's building a nice flag here. So make sure you put your stop loss in, because if this thing fails, she's going to come down. She's going to come down pretty hard too. I think you would hope that she would possibly hold this area right about here, but that's the way I would play it if I were you. But if this does play out right, then she'll go back and feel that gap I was telling you guys about, right? They're all laughing at me because I talk about closing gaps, but don't worry about them. None of these guys have a track record. None of them know anything about charts. And at the end of the day, it's what the bullshit walks, man. You know, so essentially, that's that area that I was talking about. There was a big gap at 1792, you recall. So let's hope that are still in the gap, and the gap on the snap. Let's get into the rest of the charts here. So Dow Jones Industrial Average. And this is a very similar scenario here, and I hope it doesn't fail, because we could be going in for a good solid correction here. So what you can see is a very similar situation here where you're kind of building a flag. So what I'm hoping, it's going to be a nice, beautiful flag, and we can break out. But be careful here about this fear, because if it doesn't work out, we're going to come back down, probably right back down to this area here, and hopefully find some consolidation, some support, I should say, right about that area. Okay. So next up, and these are weekly candles, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Same with on the snap that I just showed you a minute ago, that was a flag forming on a weekly. Sorry I didn't mention that, but it's a good thing I thought about it at the last minute. Anyways, this is on a daily, and what I'm going to do is cut back some time here because I got a year and 10 months, and that's just a little bit too much. I have to step away here for a moment. Yeah, just wait a second. No, I'm going to have to step away for a second. I can't believe this. I have no choice. I have no choice. Anyways, Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're holding this, seem to be holding here this 21,680 area, which is the what I was telling you guys up here. Do you remember that was July, or sorry, August 7th, I think it was? No, it was July 27th, I believe, is when I made the video. Be careful. You may want to take, profit if you're up on your position, because I'm looking at a summer sell-off. So the Dow Jones had continued rising. That's right. We'll go look on the next chart, and you'll see on July 27th, I was correct. All the other ones came and dropped after the 27th. That was the high, except you notice on the Dow, it went up a little higher, but she fell right back to essentially where I made the video on the 27th. This is important here, guys. So at this point, I really hope we can hold this area here. We've came back and closed that little gap that was here, and I think we may be okay. But if it doesn't, like I said, prepare for a sell-off here, or fear is going to bring this lower. So let's get into the S&P. You'll see it on the S&P 500, that August 27th video where I was talking about the summer sell-off. That would bring us right there, right there on July 27th. That's where I made the video at Silver Gold Man that day live with you folks. I was saying get ready for a summer sell-off, and the Dow continued going a little bit higher, but the S&P hasn't. So we're right at that area of resistance here from that 27th. As you can see, resistance. So she's trying to break out higher. I do like the fact that we had a great big hammer, and today we have on the day a doji, a moment of indecision. So pay close attention here. Like I said, we're at a key point here, guys. I don't want this to break down, neither do you. And it's only fear and some more missiles, I guess, that may break this down. But at this point, we got some more news, and I'll get into that shortly. I have a few more articles before I finish up here. So at this point, a flag formation, what we're going to do is pay attention to tomorrow's close. We want to end up green on a day. It doesn't have to be a big green day, but after a doji, hopefully we'll get green, and then we'll pay attention that we don't break down today's low, okay? And that was a low of 2,459 on the S&P 500. But as you just heard, what's his name? Chief economist there at was it Goldman Sachs telling you we'll close the year around 2,400. So we're right at that area right here right now on the S&P 500. Anyways, let's go on to the next one. Indicator still looking good, and it's the NASDAQ Composite Index. So the 27th, same thing here, July 27th. Like I said, I nailed the high on the market. And I was telling you guys, if you're really up, you may want to take some profit. The summer sell-off has happened, and I'm hoping we're getting ready here to break out again. You can see here on the daily candles on the zoomed up, we have what they call a hammer. So we had a big red hammer, and now today we have a small green hammer. That's positive. Looking good. You can see the Bollinger Bands. Notice how they've opened up. That's the white lines here at the bottom and at the top of the price of the candles, I should say, opening up. So we're getting ready for a move. Let's just hope it's not a great big downward move. I hope it's an upward move. CCI, preferably if we were down here, to be honest with you, but still looking good at this point. Oh man, so I have to put you guys on hold for a second. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, but I just have to leave for a second. Someone needs my hand. Yeah. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. In the middle of cooking dinner and electrical problems, and I'm the only one who can solve it. Okay, so sorry about that. GLD. I should have grabbed a glass of water when I was out there, I guess. Would have been nice. Okay, GLD, what do we have here? Well, it's the fear trade, guys. It's the fear trade, and I got a couple articles for you on at this point. So, what do we see here? RSI, we're looking, we're in the oversold area, no doubt about that. We had a great big gap up on the day. We're down only 0.5%, not very much. Stochastic still showing me some possibly a down day tomorrow. CCI, man, we're really oversold at this point on a CCI, but that's I believe because of the doom and gloom. So what can I pull up here? Another one. Let's see here. And MACD, and yeah, we'll do that. So on the MACD, looking very good. Let's back up a little more. Add 8 months in there. So MACD looking good. Let's go up here a little bit further, and let's add in a full year now. Well, still looking good, but it's the fear trade at this point. So you're asking me, would I go in there and buy it at this point? The answer is no, I would not. I would not. Personally, I would not. I guess I should have showed you on the GLD. We're at an area of resistance, right? Right back here. Whoops. Let me just highlight that. And it's the same thing on the spot price. So the resistance works out to this whole area right here. You got a lot of traders that got trapped in that area. And now that you guys are bringing it back up there, guess what they want to do? You got it. Get the hell out of that trade. Oh, they may hang tight for a while. They may hang tight while there's still some fear. Remember, this is a fear trade at this point. One of the subscribers on my YouTube channel, Silver Goldman, a new subscriber, had mentioned how he was going to sell some gold coins or bullion. I think I can't remember either or. And he was mentioning that the bullion dealer was telling, well, no one's selling their gold right now. And I'm like, yeah, it's because of the fear trade is still on at this point. As long as you still have that fear aspect, that trade is still on. But be wary now, because the moment the fear trade's done, this is all going to end. So let's get back to silver. And you can see on the chart, it's exactly a very similar scenario on the SLV, where you've got all these people that are stuck up in this area here. So as silver tries to break out, she's going to run into a lot of resistance. As long as they can keep beating up the fear, we'll be all right. But at this point, you can probably already see silver is already at one major area of resistance, right? And that's on the SLV. Remember that. Spot is a little different. So here's spot. And it's the same thing. You've got a big area of resistance right about here. So I'd be a little bit concerned. And if you look over here at this candle right here, the previous candle, we ended up with a shooting star, and it had very high volume. Oops, not that one. Next one over. It had very high volume compared to the previous volume candles. And then today you've got a red shooting star. It's a possibility that it could be building another hammer not hammer, another flag formation. Absolutely. Like I said, this is a fear trade. As long as they can keep the fear going, this trade will continue on. So yes, it could be building another little flag, just like I showed you on gold, and maybe another make another breakout here. I would expect to somewhere around that area. Now, my personal prediction on this one is that we would run out of fuel around 1850. That's my short-term goal on this one. As far as that's the spot silver. As far as gold, I had a short-term goal of 1450 because of all this resistance back here. Okay, guys? So next, we'll go to what was this one? Yes, the fear trade. Fear trade. This is what it's all about. You may recall Kim had launched the first missile. I don't know if he was aiming for Guam, but it flew over Japan. Japan decided not to knock it out of the air because it was not a threat to the citizens of Japan. Now, more recently, he's saying that he's going to continue on. He has more surprises. Those were his, sorry, not surprises, gifts. He named them gifts. I have more gifts for the USA. I'll be sending them more gifts. So when he's talking about sending, he's talking about launching more missiles, and I assume the gifts are coming to Guam, U.S. territory. Well, if he continues on with the gifts, the fear trade is on, guys. We will hit 1850 on silver. We will hit 1450. It's the response that we have to pay attention to. He can keep launching, keep launching, keep launching. We have to pay attention to what the response is. The moment, pay close attention to this. The moment we hear the USA is retaliating with missiles or some type of strike, we're not talking about sanctions here. We're talking about a strike of some sort. You make sure you hold on to that gold and silver. And if you're long and in the market, mark my words, you're probably going to want to close your long positions because the fear trade will be amped up big time. It's one thing to have Kim launching missiles, but it's another thing when USA decides to launch back. Pay close attention. If this happens, you have to be ready. I don't care who you are as an investor. Mark my words. The moment, should this happen, should it happen at some point in this escalation where the USA decides to launch a missile, get the f out of the market. It's not going to be a good scenario. Your gold and silver will absolutely continue rising. Do I think we're going to get to that point? I don't think so. I don't think we are. I think on a global scale, most people do not want this war to go down. We don't want it to go down. And in fact, the story out of China grows weary of its unruly neighbor, North Korea. So they're not too happy about it. They feel it was an insult. They put China in an awkward situation. Like I said, nobody wants this war. However, having said that, you know, you got to be ready. You have to be ready. If you're someone who's in the market, you got your money in the market, you have to be ready, guys. If there's a response from the USA, I'm not going to say it again. I've already said, mark my damn words, that this market is going to, we're not going to have it's not going to be the sell-off. It's going to be panic time. Major fear. Gold and silver, rock and roll. And I've said before, you know, the best way to play this, personally, again, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm giving you my own opinions, how I would play this fear trade if I were to get in it. I would buy the paper, SLV and GLD. Why? Because I don't have to pay for shipping. It's not the end of the world, doomsday, like these guys say, where the bullion dealers won't have any bullion and all this shit that JSNIP4 and the rest of them have been pumping for years. Unfortunately, I even fell sucker to that bullshit at one point, I must admit. You know, if my parents were listening to these shows, they would say, oh yeah, we remember him talking that shit. Finally, he got some common sense. So I'm telling you right now, I would not buy the physical. I don't want to pay on shipping, insurance, yada, 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 storage. In some cases, if you buy a lot of it, I would just buy the SLV and GLD. And the reason why is because when the fear is over, mark my words, when the fear is over, you want to dump that trade. And the easiest way to do it is to either call up your broker and say, dump my SLV, dump my GLD. Or open up your platform or log into your banking platform and say, okay, now you don't have to say nothing at that point. You're in control of yourself. I'm dumping it. I'm selling it. Thanks for the ride. Fear's over. Arrivederci. See you later, baby. Now, is it over? I don't know. Seems like Putin's the only dumbass who doesn't want this over. I'm telling you, folks, when I read this, Putin rejects cutting off the oil to North Korea. And I don't know if the news stations are talking about this, but the quickest way right now to end this whole escalade is essentially cutting off the oil to North Korea. And not just the oil, China's also got to cut the coal. They've been dumping coal there. It's one of their big buyers. China's got to step up to the plate. They got to cut the oil to North Korea. They got to stop the coal shipments. And Putin, that son of a... I don't know what to do with him. You know, I'm disgusted, but at least now we're getting a clear picture how this son of a beehive won't even do the proper thing for humanity and put Kim Jong-un in his spot by cutting off the oil. We need to bring that dictator down to his knees. And, you know, as far as these other sanctions, folks, I don't agree with them. And the reason why is because we all know, anyone who's been watching this stuff, you know, I've been paying attention to it since I'm a young boy. I was educated in French, and I wanted to learn how to read English. My dad was a Frenchman who read the English paper, so I used to imitate him. He'd sit up on the chair and cross one leg over and open up that paper. Well, I start picking up the paper at 8 years old, even though I was educated in French. I'm like, I'm going to learn how to read English. So I go over, how do you say that word? This, and how do you say that word? I've been paying attention to this for a long time. So at this point here, the best thing we can do is not sanction the heck out of North Korea, because the only people who end up getting hurt at the end of the day are the North Koreans. They get hurt. The civilians, the citizens. We need to stop this dictator. And the quickest way to pull the plug is to pull the plug on the oil. No oil, no coal. That's going to really slow down that whole economy, hurt him big time. How's he going to fuel all this army, right? It ain't going to happen. Long story short, Putin rejects it. He won't be cutting off the oil. So guys, you got to pay close attention to this whole scenario, because like I said, if this turns out to be a full-on war, this is not going to be good. You're going to want to pay close attention to your stocks. If you're in the market, you're holding any shares, it might be a good time to consider, you know, getting out of the shares. Anyways, I'm going to end the show here. I noticed the troll has showed up in the comment section, and I'll remind you folks here that I'm out here at Connecting Dots 2 for the next 3 months until I get over the copyright, not the copyright strike, the penalty that I've been inflicted here by JSNIP4. Had he just been man enough and come out and debate me like I asked him, there would not be a problem. And again, if you're a follower here from Connecting Dots 2 and you're wondering what the heck are you talking about, well, as I've been hitting the fraud here on Fukushima with Kevin Blanche and Dana Durnford and Miss Melky the Clown and Rad Chick and many others, I've been doing a similar scenario over at the Silver Gold Man YouTube channel. And what happened is a little while back, I tried to introduce this clown, not introduce, sorry, debate this clown called JSNIP4. So what happens is I made a, I posted a video, I should say, not made. I posted a video, and I invited him to come debate me live. And he never showed up. Man, why am I having a hard time here? Hold on a second here. So it was here. This was a month ago. He never showed up. And what ended up happening is, in that specific video here, is when I get up in the morning and I realize, oh, wow, look at that. They have been asking him for 2 months to come and debate me live. He never responded once, never sent me an email saying, okay, I'll be there at such a time. Instead, the hose bag shows up in the morning. This is where, you know, I mean, like, what a hose bag. He shows up in the morning and he tells me in my thread here, just wait, let's get into this. Okay, where the heck is that damn thing? That's weird, I can't find it. It's somewhere in this thread. There we go, right there. I get up in the morning, and like I said, I've been asking this guy to debate me here. It had been quite a while, and how come I just lost that again? Son of a gun. Holy jumping. Right here. I get up in the morning and he says, change your live stream event to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Meanwhile, I'd had the live stream posted at the Silver Gold Man for the last 2 weeks. Bonehead doesn't come out here till the last minute that morning and asked me to change the live event. So what I did is I posted a video telling my subscribers, come on back here, guys. What I'll do is I'll post another live debate so we can go back at it. And eventually he backed down. Continued on slamming him. We've got him on so many lies. It's just unbelievable. He's at the point now where he's starting to delete his videos on his channel because he knows that he's actually broken some laws in the USA. He showed his subscribers how to circumvent the laws in the USA to be able to purchase these initial coin offerings, because some of them weren't allowed to be purchased by U.S. citizens. So good old JSNIP4, because he knows the heat's on. My subs have just recently told me today that he started deleting some of his videos. So that does not surprise me at all. This is how JSNIP4 has been able to remain afloat on YouTube. It's mostly by deleting, banning, getting rid of the truth. I've even pointed out in my own shows, I mean, the amount of work this guy puts into trying to hide the truth, just like, wow, shocks the bejesus out of me. So I was pointing out, like, even the threads that I had posted over at his forum. As you can see here, it says Realist News. That one also, Realist News. I posted some threads over at his forum, and because he knows that I was showing him in my videos, he decided to go delete the threads. I'm like, wow, Mr. King of Delete. Anyways, the loser is in the comment section right now. I'm going to end the show here, and I'll see you back here, not at Silver Gold Man. Remember, I'm over at Connecting Dots 2, 3 days a week. Take care, folks. See you back here on Friday.